Hello, everybody. This is Sinema77, horror and cult film lover, and I'm back again. Today, I thought we'd talk a little bit because right now it's kind of a big thing going on with Ted Bundy all of a sudden. And right now on Netflix, they have the documentary, which I did watch, the four-part documentary of the Ted Bundy tapes, the tapes where he talked about his crimes and everything else. And we just learned too that now Netflix has picked up the rights to the movie. I'm sorry, I can't remember that big long title. Sorry, I should be more professional. I know, but it's the one with Zac Efron, the one that everybody's talking about right now. But more importantly, James Hetfield from Metallica is in this, playing a cop. Okay, so anyway, but yeah, we found out that Netflix has now supposedly picked up the rights for that movie, and that they're going to do a theatrical run of it, and then they're going to put it on the streaming site and everything else. And everybody's that's kind of the big thing, one of the big things right now. Everybody's talking about that, and everybody's, oh, Zac Efron's trying to be this, serious actor and all that kind of stuff and everything. And it's kind of like, seeing pictures of him, it's like, yeah, I could kind of see a little bit of the Ted Bundy in there, but, I have to wait and see on it. But today we're going to talk about the 2002 movie called simply Ted Bundy. Now, this movie, here in the early 2000s, as you can see, is put out by First Look Pictures. And the thing is like early in the 2000s, they started doing a series of films. Well, first of all, they did the movie Ed Gein with Steve Railsback, who, just, played Charles Manson perfectly in The Helter Skelter. I've already done a review of that. It's on my channel. But I mean, he knocked it out of the ballpark just playing Charles Manson. So they got him to play Ed Gein. Now, I can't exactly say how exactly close or accurate his portrayal of Ed Gein was, because I don't think I've ever heard any like actual audio footage of Ed Gein speaking, or really seen his mannerisms. All I've seen is what a lot of other people have seen, kind of like the silent, kind of old black and white kind of newsreel footage of him and stuff like that, and where he's not really saying anything. So I couldn't really tell you how good of a job he did, but it was a very good performance, and a very captivating movie directed by Chuck Perillo. And that movie did pretty good. It was kind of a direct-to-video success and everything else. And then they started doing a series of other movies. This was one. They did a movie called Dahmer, starring a then unknown Jeremy Renner, who, if everybody thought, oh, playing Jeffrey Dahmer in a movie, that's going to kill his career. No, it didn't. Okay? I mean, trust me, he's one of the fucking Avengers now. So I think he's Hawkeye, the Avenger, and all that kind of shit. He's been, he played Jason Bourne in a movie. What else? Hurt Locker, Yeah, I think Jeremy Renner's doing okay. So I don't think playing Jeffrey Dahmer in a movie actually really hurt him in any way. They did, I want to say that they did do a movie on The Night Stalker. I think they did. And they did do a movie on John Wayne Gacy with Mark Ralston. Ooh, I need to talk about that movie too. I don't have it. Unfortunately, a lot of those DVDs seem like they're out of print. They're getting kind of hard to get, but this was one of them. And right off the bat, if you find this movie and you start watching it, first of all, you're going to notice it is a low budget movie. It is a low budget movie, and even though the movie took place in the 70s and stuff like that, and you do have the actors and actresses in this movie wearing 70s clothes. Even on the commentary, there's like this kind of like Afro wig that the director keeps joking about, saying, "Oh, there's that wig again. There's that wig," because it's an Afro wig that's been used in numerous scenes, and different people wearing this wig. The overall problem is I mean, I'm not saying that it wasn't good as far as like the costumes and stuff go, but it kind of almost seems more like, in this movie anyway, it doesn't really feel much like, it didn't give a really 70s vibe. It almost felt more a little bit like everybody was dressing up to go like a 70s theme party, or something like that. But I mean, still, I mean, I don't even know where I'm going with this. They dress like, it's dressed like the 70s. So I mean, what the hell you expect, But anyway, moving on. Now the movie stars Michael Reilly Burke. He plays Ted Bundy in this. And okay, so far I've seen 3 movies with Ted Bundy. Probably more. I mean, I've seen numerous documentaries, but I've seen 3 dramatizations about Ted Bundy. This was one of them. There was another one called The Ted Bundy Story, which was based on Ann Rule's book, The Stranger Beside Me, because the true crime author Anne Rule in real life, she worked in a suicide prevention hotline with Ted Bundy, and at the time she didn't know who he was, and it stunned her when she was a true crime writer anyway, but it stunned her when it was revealed that Ted Bundy was killing all these women and stuff like that. And she ended up writing a book about him. And that movie, the Ted Bundy story, that one kind of more is about the story about the connection between Ted Bundy and Anne Rule. Yeah, they did do another movie where Corey Nemec, Parker Lewis himself, played Ted Bundy. I saw maybe a few minutes of it, but I didn't get a chance to catch all of it. But so anyway, so yeah, there was those two movies, that one, and there was the classic TV movie, The Deliberate Stranger, with Mark Harmon as Ted Bundy. Now that movie, let's see, The Deliberate Stranger, it's very good. If you can find, I think it's a Warner Archives DVD right now. But yeah, I think you can get it. But it is a very good movie. But the only thing I think about that movie is just that Mark Harmon seemed like he was a little. It almost seemed like the part of Ted Bundy was beneath him. I've talked about this before on other videos where like when they cast a well-known actor, they cast a really good actor or good actress to play somebody who has murdered people and stuff like that. It's almost like they're not right for the part. I mentioned that before when I talked about the movie To Catch a Killer, where Brian Dennehy played John Wayne Gacy. Now the thing is like I think they kind of like, well, let's just get a good actor who's kind of a big guy to play John Wayne Gacy because John Wayne Gacy is a big guy. Now Brian Dennehy's a big guy, but I mean the guy's built like a fucking bull. I mean he's not, John Wayne Gacy in real life. I mean he was short, fat, dumpy. Mark Ralston, who we all know, from Leprechaun, and we all know from, as Francis in Pee Wee's Big Adventure, he played John Wayne Gacy in that movie. Now he kind of, to me, personifies John Wayne Gacy more than Brian Dennehy does. I mean, Brian Dennehy's a brilliant actor. I'm not taking anything away from him. Just he was too good for the material, is what I'm saying in a roundabout way. Kind of like the same thing with like Farrah Fawcett in the movie Small Sacrifices, where she played Diane Downs. I mean, Farrah Fawcett, rest in peace. But, I mean, Farrah Fawcett, she's a fucking goddess. I mean, she's easily one of the most beautiful women ever. Everybody in the 70s had that poster of her, the fabulous nipple. Let's see what else. She's not only that, I mean, she's an acting legend. I mean, go back and look at her filmography. Look at some of the movies she did, not just like Cannonball Run, but I mean, like, look at The Burning Bed. Look at Extremities. Look at movies like that. I mean, just her acting is bar none. She's amazing in everything she does. And, if you look at Diane Downs is nothing. Even back then, she was nothing like Farrah Fawcett. Okay, I mean, she was a far cry away from Farrah Fawcett. Okay, but anyway, I'm sorry, I keep going off on these tangents. It'd be nice if I talk about the fucking movie that I'm supposed to be talking about, right? So anyway, so let's get into it. Now the movie, like I said, you could tell it's a low budget film and everything else, and I think that but it's not really about so much. Whereas The Deliberate Stranger was more about the capture and prosecution of Ted Bundy and everything else. This is more about Ted Bundy kind of going through a little bit of like what he was thinking and what was going on with him, and it's kind of more from his point of view during his killing spree and stuff like that. And Michael Reilly Burke, I think honestly, he very much personifies Ted Bundy. He definitely has kind of a Ted Bundy look about him, a Ted Bundy quality about him. Um, his performance is chilling and kind of oddly awkwardly funny at the same time and everything else. And there are some very disturbing moments in this movie, and he plays it really well. And you could definitely sense that he played a man who is not there mentally. You can get the sense that here's a man who definitely has a hatred of women and just kind of like an unable to control himself and everything else. And Michael Reilly Burke plays it. He plays it really well. And the way he plays it, I could really picture that that's what Ted Bundy was like. And there are scenes like I said, when I say awkwardly funny moments, in his performance. I mean, like at the beginning of the movie, it's kind of funny because like you see this little montage of him going around. We all know that you know anything about Ted Bundy. Here is a guy who he made a living stealing things. Um, like he was going to law school and stuff like that. He was active in politics. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. I mean, if you're watching this, you know who Ted Bundy is or was. But he also, he was a petty crook and he made his living stealing a lot of things. And there's kind of like this awkwardly funny little montage of him going around stealing stuff. Like he's in a grocery store and he's like putting stuff in his, he's dressed in a suit. He's like putting stuff in his pockets and he's like giving this. There's a beautiful girl who's in there shopping and he kind of just gives this kind of really like rapey vibe and everything else and kind of just grosses her out and all this kind of stuff. And he's like putting stuff in his pockets. Then like, you see him going into the department store and there's this lady in the changing room, but her purse is like right outside the door. So he sees, a little bit of money sticking out. So he goes, snatches up the money, runs out of the store, walks in front of a store. They have like a TV sale and everything else. He just grabs a TV and runs off with it and everything else. Stops in front of a hotel, grabs his plant, shoves the plant into his Volkswagen Bug and drives it. Like I said, it's kind of awkwardly funny, but that's what Ted Bundy did. Um, Now that is one thing I will say for a low budget movie. I mean, the car that they used, the VW Bug that they used, was a pretty close facsimile to Ted Bundy's actual car. And whereas, like in the movie, the Ted Bundy story, yeah, they that was the thing. I mean, for a TV movie, you think the budget would be a little bit higher, but they ended up just grabbing like a red Volkswagen. So that was kind of weird. So the color of the car wasn't even the same color, but then we kind of see that he's got this girlfriend played by Body Ann Bliss, who's in the movie Dorm Days, National Lampoon. And they have this kind of she's wanting him to kind of get his shit together and all this other kind of stuff, and he's kind of like always telling her like, oh, I don't know what's wrong with me, I'm not normal, I'm a bastard, I'm weird, I'm this and that and everything. And she's being the good girlfriend, she's being loving and supportive and stuff like that. And I mean, even to the point there's a scene where they're having sex and all this other kind of stuff, and he's having trouble and all this kind of stuff, and she's all like, this isn't any fun and all this other kind of stuff. And so he's like, pretend you're a corpse, just leave your eyes open a little bit, pretend you're a corpse. And then he's like, so he's thrusting away on her. He's like, fuck you, bitch. I want you to die, 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 and all this. And that's how he gets his rocks off and stuff. So obviously red flags there, but being the girlfriend, she's, and then, it's like she's kind of bickering with him a lot, which I don't know. Yeah, I think that the girlfriend that he had in real life, who had a daughter and stuff, I think they did. There was mention that they argued a bit and stuff from time to time, but anyway, though. So yeah, and he at first he's in the beginning of the movie, he's kind of like peeping into windows and stuff like that, and he's masturbating and stuff, and at one point this guy looks down, and sees him out there jacking off to this girl, undressing in her window, and he's out there jacking off, and this guy, he's got that afro wig, and the director of the commentary is like, there's that wig again, so he throws water on Ted Bundy to chase him off and stuff like that. But then it's like he knows where this girl lives, so he goes in and he beats her furiously. And that was the thing, they said that even though that it's pretty well figured that he had victims before this girl, that she was beaten nearly to death, and she had a metal rod inserted inside of her. But they were able to get her to the hospital, and but she survived. So there was that. But then he started like upping his game. He started killing women. We get into another one of these awkwardly funny moments because he breaks into this girl's apartment. Poor girl, didn't do anything wrong to anybody or any of that kind of stuff. Getting ready, just going about her day, getting ready to go to sleep and all this kind of stuff. So he breaks in and everything else, and he gives this very creepy line reading, where he's all like, okay, all right. He's all like, I need you to trust me. Are you gonna trust me? And she's, because he's got her mouth, and so he's all like, okay, he's all, I just broke into your apartment, didn't I? She, and they punches her in the face and knocks her unconscious. He's all like, why would you want to trust me? And then he's like carrying her out. She's wrapped in a sheet, and he's like carrying her out over his shoulder, and he's walking down the street. And there are people, seeing him do this and everything. And apparently, like supposedly, that was a thing that people did see him doing this stuff. And then it starts getting into his killing spree where there is a scene doing the Lake Sammamish thing and everything else. And one thing you're going to notice, though, is that, like I said, obviously this is a low budget movie. And in this movie, I think that, they just had the budget for getting whatever actresses that they could, because it's well known fact that, if you heard any of the true documentaries or anything about Ted Bundy, all of Ted Bundy's victims had this one feature. They had long dark hair parted in the middle. And that was pretty much all of his victims. They all had that hairstyle. So in this movie here, you got like blondes, brunettes, redheads, all this other kind of stuff. So, but like I said, low budget movie, they just got who they could, I think. But so he starts on his killing spree and everything else. They do the Lake Sammamish, and it's all like, this was the thing. I do admit this movie did have moments to it that I didn't know that. Like at one part, like it's supposed to be the two girls he kidnapped from Lake Sammamish. Like he brings a second girl in. He's got the one girl like handcuffed, and he brings a second girl in, and she gets up and runs away. And he's all like, "Ha ha ha! This is fun. I'm gonna go get her. Don't move. I'll be right back." And so he goes chasing after her and stuff. And so she's running and everything, trying to get away from him and everything else. And she slips and falls, and then she sees this dead body like posed, almost like a model pose, and everything else. And supposedly, from what I understand, Ted Bundy did do that. Like, that was the thing. Okay, I didn't know, for one thing. I didn't know until I watched this movie. The only thing I knew about Ted Bundy was that movie, The Deliberate Stranger. So when I watched this, I didn't know. So I didn't know that like he decapitated women's heads and brought them home with him. I didn't know he was a necrophiliac. I kind of was under the assumption that like Ted Bundy, he would go like get these girls, knock them unconscious, take them out somewhere, rape them, torture them, all this other kind of stuff, and then just kill them and leave them for dead, and that was it. I didn't know that he like severed heads and took heads with him. I didn't know that he would go back and have sex with the dead bodies. I didn't know he was a necrophiliac. I didn't know a lot of that stuff. I didn't know that he would like go out and dress up these dead bodies and put them in like these model poses and stuff, kind of like magazine poses and stuff to get his rocks off. I didn't know a lot of this stuff. But it's kind of like showing, and then you see him like, he's leaving Colorado, or was it, oh yeah, he's leaving Colorado, no, Washington. I'm sorry, it was Washington. Leaving Washington so he can go to Utah and everything else, so he can, do all that stuff. And then he's out. He gets. We come to the part where he's kidnapping Carol Durant. In the movie, they don't really say her name, but the actress is Tiffany Shepis. Who, if you're a horror movie fan, you know who Tiffany Shepis is. I don't think I need to. You're a horror movie fan. I don't think I have to explain who she is. But she's a goddess. Actress, everything else. So he tries to kidnap her, but she just beats the shit out of him. He gets away, and and then he goes and finds another girl, kills her and stuff. Then there's like this another awkwardly funny montage of him like dumping these dead bodies and having sex with dead bodies and killing women and all this other kind of stuff. And then he gets caught, and okay, now we get to an interesting part of this movie is that the detective questioning him is played by Tom Savini, the magnificent Tom Savini. And also, too, this was one of the last movies that Tom Savini actually did special makeup effects for. The effects in this movie are done by him. Let's see. I think, let's see here. I think the last movie he might have done was that movie, the Fangoria film, Inhuman Resources. I know he did the effects for that, but I don't know. I think this is definitely one of the last movies he did special effects for. And but he plays a small scene in there. I wish they'd have more of him in the movie. He was great. He plays a detective who's grilling Ted Bundy about the rape kit and everything else in his car and stuff. It would have been awesome. I mean, to see him in this movie is fantastic enough. It just would have been great if there was more of him in it. So then it's continue on, and it goes through the process and everything else. If you know the Ted Bundy story, it's then he escapes. He escapes prison the first time. They find him, bring him back. He's having sex with his girlfriend at the water cooler and talking to her and everything. Then he manages to escape the second time and everything else. And then, he gets to Florida and everything else. And, he rents a house, or he rents a room in a house. And Tracy Walter, the character actor. I mean, this guy, great character actor, wonderful character actor. But I swear, this guy's got to be like in every movie there is. Uh, he's the guy running the house and everything else, and he's all like, yeah, and so hey, mama, and this woman comes out. He wants to rent a room, and he swears he can pay and all this, and she's like, as long as he's got money, yeah, he can stay and all that. Okay, so we get to the part, you got the section where he goes to the sorority house and kills all of them and all that other kind of stuff. And that seems, it's chilling and stuff. And I believe that I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. I believe some of the actresses used in that scene were girls from porn. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that, but I think they were from porn. Anyway, so he does that. He does that scene and everything else, and then easily probably the most chilling part in the movie was the scene where he goes and he gets the little girl who's supposed to be Kimberly Leach. And Kimberly Leach was definitely, got him the death penalty and stuff like that. But just the scene that, the idea of, this poor little girl who did nothing wrong to anybody, and scared about her mommy and daddy and all that kind of stuff, trusting this guy only that, to suffer what that poor little girl suffered. Just, it gets under your skin. Very disturbing. Then, he gets caught and, all this kind of stuff. And they kind of do like this little montage of footage and stuff, letting he got caught and everything else. And so he's in jail. They're about ready to execute him and stuff like that. And so this is kind of the moment of the movie, though. It's all like, if you're somebody who's not for capital punishment, you probably wouldn't think so. But this is kind of like the payoff moment in this movie because, like when you see this guy, like after everything he's done to people and how remorseless he was about the whole thing. Yeah, like the part where the guards are, shoving stuffing up his butt because they're all like, you're gonna shit yourself when all this stuff. It's so all this other kind of stuff. So they're sitting there, they got like all this jelly and everything else, and they're shoving all these wads of like cotton and stuff up his ass. And so they're shaving his head and all this other kind of stuff, and then they take him to the chair to be executed. And that was like another thing I didn't know until I actually watched this movie. Then later found out, yeah, that was supposedly a thing. Actually, supposedly the one who flipped the switch on him was a woman with long black hair parted in the middle. Now, if that happened, that is obvious. Honestly, that is like the best irony in the world. That is like so cool. I mean, I cheered at that moment, just to think, after all this, all these women who did nothing wrong to this man, they did not deserve what happened to him or any of that kind of stuff. That, finally he gets what's coming to him. So anyway, yeah, I kind of spoiled the movie. I'm sorry, spoiler, but Ted Bundy gets executed at the end of the movie. Sorry. But as if anybody didn't already know that. But final thoughts. Okay, one kind of thing though was. I think the women in the movie, like they were good actresses and stuff, but I think that the characters were kind of written to be a little too short-tempered. They kind of like the women got angry very easily and stuff like that, and it's like, no, don't make the women like that because, you're supposed to be saying that the women are the heroes of this movie, not Ted Bundy, But overall, like Michael Reilly Burke, I think he did a great job playing Ted Bundy. I think he played the creepiness factor of him. He was able to mix that kind of like snobbishness that Ted Bundy obviously had. If you see any interviews with him and stuff, you knew he was a snob and everything else. He was able to play that snarky snobbishness. He was able to be creepy. He was able to play straight. He did have moments where he could be a little bit charming and stuff like that. So Michael Reilly Burke, sad to say, I mean, I saw him in the movie The Collector, but I haven't seen him in a whole lot. It's really a shame. I'd like to see him in more stuff. He really gave a good performance in this. Body and Bliss, she gave a wonderful performance as the girlfriend. Like to see her in more stuff. But a well done film for a low budget horror film, kind of true crime-ish, film. The only problem is though, it's all like, I discovered some new things when I watched this movie and stuff. But here's the thing: with all the documentaries and stuff about Ted Bundy and everything else, it's like, I wonder if everybody's starting to feel like enough is enough. No more attention should be paid to this guy. That, look at all the suffering this man caused, all the lives that he took, everything else. It's like, this guy, we should not be talking about him anymore. So, but anyway, though, for those who are interested, I say, yeah, check it out. I mean, you're definitely going to notice the differences and stuff, like I did. Like I said, it's like, okay, well, the women, they're not all long black hair parted in the middle. Obviously, low budget movie, they got who they could get for the roles and stuff like that. But some cool effects by Tom Savini, everything else. So yeah, I say check it out if you can find it. I say I think this movie's kind of hard to get a hold of now. I think it's out of print, but never know, might be able to. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up. Okay, this has been about 25 minutes already. So yeah, I guess we'll wait until I've seen the Ted Bundy tapes, I've seen documentaries and Deliver a Stranger and all that other kind of stuff. So I guess we'll wait till the Zac Efron movie comes out and we'll see what we think of that. So anyway, that's it. If anybody took the time to watch this video, thank you for doing it. I do appreciate you for doing it. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. This is Sinema77, horror and cult film lover. And if you love talking about true crime movies like I do, we're definitely going to talk again later. Have a good day. Bye-bye.